Hello, chat. I believe this is the first stream where I am missing something, or more exactly, someone. I am missing Kai Drakai. He's a member of our little community. Appears in the chat every time, regardless of the hour that I stream. But unfortunately today, he is not present. So Kai Drakai, if you're watching this in replay, which I doubt you are, but if you are, I care about you. Even though you never donate. You don't have to donate for me to care. So there we go. Where was I? You know, this is actually like the cool thing when there's streamers that are small. Like they notice you even when you do not donate. Go to Gargura. Will Gargura notice you? Of course not. She's got like what? 4,000 viewers. You don't even notice yourself when you type in the chat because it goes. Rrr. Look, Katis Fineto is trying to copy Kai Drakai. I appreciate that. Beastifus is here. Beastifus donates. But anyway, right. I do not want to talk about donations. It's just like something that I noticed. Was thinking about Pippa. Was thinking about when she was small. And I was in her chat. And she noticed. Now if I go into her chat, she doesn't notice. Not her fault though, because there's like 2,500 people in the chat. Speaking of Pippa, why was I thinking about her? I will show you. Because there's a reason. I do not bring things up unless there's a... Look at this. Look at this. Korewa insanity. People are doing pilgrimages to this thing. Right? Like there's this cool Billboard, which has brought her, I believe, more than 10,000 subscribers as a birthday present for her. And people are actually going there, like several of them. They are taking pilgrimages to this thing. Flamenco was the first. Mazda Mewata apparently is the second. And there's many, many people that are going there. And apparently, people even know where it is. Like, even though like there's no address directly linked to it. I guess the United States must be a very small place because people immediately have managed to dox that location. So yes, I do notice you, Meta. But to be honest, Meta is not such a good idea because even Facebook is abandoning it. Instead, they're investing money into the AI. I told you about this in a super chat, but you didn't read. I read everything, and I knew about it. It's been going on for like 2 weeks now. You're not making that pilgrimage, huh? Well, I guess you're not a real believer. You're a sinner. Look at this. I am going there as well. All right. What should we talk about? Should we talk about this? No, we're going to talk about this later. But look at this. Apparently, like someone even went to a motel. I just want you to understand. Like someone took the pilgrimage and went to a motel across the street just so he can wake up with Pippa's smug face in the morning looking at him. I mean, it's a little bit bizarre, I would say. Not a lot, but a little bit. Like, what the hell is going on? And apparently, like, there's people that went to different motels, right? Because, like, the distance from this window is a lot smaller than the distance from this window. So I assume, like, what? There's, like, many motels? Or is the same motel, but, like, it's in a position where if you go into one room, it's further away? So there's been multiple individuals that are not only traveling to this place, but they're, like, renting a motel to the specific height so that they can see Pipkin Pippa professional VTubing services. Man, I don't know if I should say for her sake or for the user's sake. I hope people never find out where she actually lives. She has guns, chat. She has guns. And if someone is crazy enough to actually go to her doorstep, Jesus fucking Christ, she has cameras and shit. But I have seen people actually thinking it's okay to go to YouTubers' houses. Technically, it's not a crime, but it's uncivilized. Unless you know the person and you ask for permission, of course. But I would find it very spooky if someone from you guys came to my door. Even though I like you all, it would be bizarre. Unless you're an ushikushi lady with big boobies and have a time machine and go back in time before I manage to get my wife, then it's fine. But if you don't do that, it's bizarre, even if you're a ushikushi lady. In fact, if you're an ushikushi lady, you actually might get me into trouble, because then I would have to explain to my wife. It's like, why are beautiful women visiting me? So yes, do not put Pippa in a self-defense situation. That should be the moral for the day. Absolutely. Do not put Pipkin Pippa in a self-defense situation. You're not outside my door. Shut the fuck up. Actually, you can't come to my door because there's a gated community. Ask Boogie what happened if you show up at the tuber's house. You know, like, I actually see different YouTubers react in different ways. Boogie reacted in a very unprofessional manner. However, there was this other guy. I don't know his name. So this lady comes to his house with his children. With her children, sorry. This lady comes to this YouTuber's house with her children. Now, I don't know who this guy was, but it was like a big Twitch streamer or something. So, you know, like, this crazy lady, I mean, it's so fucking weird. It's like going to, I don't know, Arnold Schwarzenegger's house, right? Like, you saw him in a movie and then you think it's okay to go to his house. So this lady goes to the house of this Twitch streamer. The Twitch streamer comes out, asks her who she is, and she's like, oh, well, I'm a big fan, blah, blah, blah. And the guy goes like, okay, well, I'm recording a video now. Do you mind waiting for 15 minutes? And I was thinking, like, he's going to call the cops, right? But, like, no, he actually comes out, starts taking pictures with her, puts them on his Twitter. And on one hand, I'm thinking, man, this is so nice, right? Like, he is so good and kind to his subscribers. But on the other hand, you're thinking, if you do this, you're going to encourage more. Like, the next day, you're probably going to get more people at your house. Which, again, you know, like, it's not bad. I mean, if they don't have bad intentions, but imagine if you have like 1 million followers, and even if 1% of them come to your house, like, you're going to be placed in a difficult predicament where you're going to constantly have to answer the door. So yes, it's fine to react in an unprofessional manner when you're at home. Well, take into account that, like, simply knocking to someone's house isn't a crime. Right? Like, going up to someone's door, knocking at their door, and if they tell you to leave, you leave. You haven't committed a crime. But it is... I can't even say uncivilized. I don't know how to say. It's not necessarily rude. It's creepy. That's what it is. It's creepy. Right? Like, having people come to your door that you do not know just because they saw you on the internet. She jams a needle of box spray into your neck. Man, she has guns. If it wasn't for the cancel culture, I wouldn't mind pretty ladies coming over. Oh, yeah, well, all it takes is one good picture. I would not shoot my chat. No, I would not shoot my chat. I'm in Romania. Guns are illegal. I wouldn't know how I would react. I would probably be bewildered. I think I would be nice to the first person, but like, if I get like more than one, if I start getting like 5 or 6 people, I would lose my shit. Probably I would just disable the doorbell and I would put a sticker, Diablo, and it would be with a pit bull, and I would be like, Diablo manages to get to 30 kilometers within 20 seconds. Can you? And you know, maybe have like some barking noises inside or something. I mean, I did meet people in real life that recognized me on the street. It happened. It actually happened every single time I went to London. That happened. First time I was a little bit bewildered because I was getting money off of an ATM, and this person comes up to me and I'm like, what the fuck are you doing? You know, I'm at the ATM, I'm putting the pin. And they're like, oh, it's you, isn't it? And I'm looking at him and I'm like, is this like one of those colleagues that I had in like the first grade and they changed so much that I don't recognize him? It's like, oh, you're V. And I'm like, yeah. Like, oh, I'm so glad to meet you. I'm glad to, can you please stay a little bit back so I can get my money? And then I got my money and I spoke with them. But like, when it actually went to London, I was at the subway and I was supposed to meet my wife because I was just coming up from Sargon. And we did the whole thing on Lotus Eaters. We did the recording. Meanwhile, my wife went to Hyde Park. So now we had to meet again. And This guy, you know, in a business attire with luggage, comes up to me and it's like, "You're V?" Usually that's a really bad question to ask because I don't know if they want to beat me up or they want to shake my hand, you know, especially if I'm in London. And I'm like, yeah, I'm V. It's like, "Oh, I'm so glad to meet you." And I was like, "Oh, just okay, walk with me." And we started walking because I was in a rush. I had to get to my wife. I felt bad for leaving her alone, but like she doesn't speak English, so like what was she supposed to do while I was recording the thing with Sarga? So I left her at the hotel and she went to Hyde Park. She had a good time. V, I'm your biggest fan. Now hand over the cash. Well, you would be disappointed, I guess, because I don't have that much cash. You know, the economy went under today, so no. It could go 50-50. Yeah, like when you're a political commentator, it's like the same thing when you're at the dinner table and people ask you, like, "What are you doing?" And you're like a YouTuber, and they're like, "Can I see your channel?" And I'm like, I don't know. Maybe you shouldn't. How about that? Maybe you shouldn't. How would you feel if a fan tried to do a real life super chat? That would be kind of weird, wouldn't it? Like what? Like he picks up a $100 bill and gives it to me? I'll probably take it, but like I would be it's the same thing, right? Like you bypass the YouTube 40% cut on one hand. Yeah, I'd probably take it. It would still be weird. I would give him a shout out the next stream, and I would be like, "Yeah, well, this happened," you know. I would prefer getting a beer though. Like that's a little bit more civilized, I guess. I don't know. It is what it is. Be in London, the stabby capital. Well, it's not like if you're in London, people are going to automatically stab you. You know, you don't need to activate Ultra Instinct to walk on the street. The stabbing doesn't happen everywhere. Like it's usually contained to some areas. When I was in London, though, there was a stabbing. There was a stabbing near where the rich people live, in a banking area. So, I mean, you know, you can always win the lottery. But there was like this guy that was on a bike. Someone tried to steal the bike away from him. They fought back. Not a good idea, apparently. So, well, it was what it was. The bike was conquered, I guess. What if they give you a second screen? How the fuck am I going to carry a second screen from London all the way to Romania? It would be funny if the person handing the $100 had a note attached to it. I would read it on a stream. If it doesn't violate YouTube's TOS. AOC, areas of color. I don't know. It's usually like the places where tourists don't go anyway. So bold of you to assume it's a $100. I mean, if you're going to give money to someone on the street, it's got to be like a big bill, right? Like you're not going to give that because like if you're on a stream and you give someone $2, it's okay. But like if you give them $2 in real life, it feels a little bit offensive, you know. Imagine if I were to stop Boogie and it's like, "Boogie, here's $2, super chat." I don't think Boogie would appreciate that. He might pick up a gun. I once walked up to a musician that I recognized and gave him 20 because I had pirated his CD and felt bad. That was probably weird for him. Yeah, it is weird, right? Because like when you're selling merchandise, you expect people to buy the merchandise rather than just give you money. I have a stab-proof clothing on Amazon if I ever go to London. Dude, that's a little bit too much. It's a little bit too much. If someone, like, and not to mention, if someone wants to stab you and they stab you in the neck, what do you do? Right? I think, like, a little bit of street smarts is required. Like, if you see someone, like, if you're visiting in London, right? So I'm the tourist. I'm not going to be the hero. If I see someone stealing a bike, not my problem. I mean, they have cops there, right? When the cops aren't policing the internet for Hassesprache, maybe they can stop bike stealing. I don't know, but like, why would I intervene? You know, I see it, I just turn around and walk away. I didn't see nothing. Don't know nothing. It's like I'm a tourist. It's not my problem. Like, I'm not there in order to stop the criminal element. There was another Romanian, which was dumb enough to stop the criminal element. His name was Bogdan, if I remember correctly. He was working at a bakery store when a terrorist attack happened. And there were 3 gentlemen, which were acting uncivilized. And he decided to stop them. Like, he took a breadbasket, it was in the news, it was on the BBC. I actually got contacted by a BBC journalist then. They wanted to know if I know the guy because I covered him on my channel. And, yeah, he was like a hero. He got, I believe, a medal from the Queen. And then when he went home, because he saved people, right? Like, he not only managed to take out one of the terrorists, but he also managed to give shelter to a lot of the people on the street. Like, he opened his bakery and said, oh, get in, it's safe, right? So he did a lot of heroic deeds that day. Yeah, the breadbasket guy. Now, many people do not know the follow-up story of the breadbasket guy. So when he goes back to the place where he rented, right, because he didn't have his own house, he was renting a place, the lady kicked him out. Like, the lady, the landowner, which was a lady, kicked him out because she said that she is afraid that retaliation attacks could happen against him. So, you see why it's not a smart idea to get involved? Right? Like, he literally got punished for doing a good deed. I'm pretty sure if that lady was on the street that day, in that particular area of town, she would have been grateful that he was there. But what can you do? You know, like, you don't have to ask the people to intervene, but at least do not behave in such a manner to the heroes that are saving your community. Yeah, the community canceled him, right? Like, and then it was difficult for him to find jobs. It was difficult for him to find places to rent, so he had to leave Britain. Not many people talk about the follow-up story. Which, well, it wasn't just Coward Karen. It was like other people. Because, like, okay, you know, he got kicked off from a place that he rented. Like, surely he's going to find... No, he didn't find even other places. So, yeah, like, no good deed goes unpunished. This is why I would further recommend to people, if you go to London and you see the criminal element, you stay away from it. Not your place, not your problem to intervene. I'm your biggest fan. Prezips unzipping pants, pulled out pin. Would you mind signing my autograph book? I left my pocket. Well, you know what? For 1,000, what are those? Rupees? Rupees? I would sign. I mean, I can sign it without touching, right? Turtleneck and sleeves. You best have like, because my signature is long. You best have like something that is big enough for me to sign. Because if you have like Chaquito, what do I do? Do I sign like only one half and the other, I sign it on the other way? No. It needs to be big enough for my signature to be fully encompassed. Once tried a homeless man a sandwich and he told me he was on a diet. Well, the thing with homeless people, right? Like, this is something else that many people make the false assumption that homeless people are always hungry. I mean, they are. They need to eat 3 times a day, but they're not, like, always starving. Like, here's the thing, right? Imagine you're a homeless person, right? And someone gives you food. Now, you're happy. But then they give you, like someone else gives you food. And someone else gives you food. And someone else gives you food. It's like, you cannot just eat like a pig, you know, all the food that you're getting. I mean, think about it from their perspective, right? Like, from your perspective, you gave him food. From their perspective, maybe you're the 8th person on that day that gave them food. And then, it's the same thing when people see a stray cat, right? And they give it food and the cat refuses to eat. It's like, yeah, but maybe you're like the 6th person on that particular day that gave food to the cat. They don't have a refrigerator, by the way. They don't have a place where they can store the food you're giving them. So it is what it is. Now, the idea that most are looking for a fix, or they want a drink. Motherfucker, if you were on the street, what would you do? I would probably start drinking. Like, I just want the time to pass faster. Like, it's probably not a pleasant life. Like, what do you do when you're on the streets? You tell me. Like, what is there to be done? I would start drinking. That's what I would do. Never give anything to the beggars. That just makes them multiply. I don't think it works that way. I do not think that if you feed the beggars, they start multiplying, especially when the overwhelming majority of the beggar population happens to be men. So, I don't think you thought that through. There's always a homeless guild that asks for taxes. Yeah, apparently they do have. Not, they don't have like a homeless guild, but they do have the mafia, and they do ask like there is a mafia about beggars, like where they can beg, what they're allowed to do, and they have to give a cut. Depends on the city though. Depends on the culture. In some places there is, in others there isn't. But it is what it is. Being a beggar is a job. Well, Xander, you've been homeless if I remember correctly, right? I think I had that interview with you. There are people that actually do begging as a job. Like they know exactly where to beg, at what hours, at what intervals. They rotate. And they make a lot of money, and it's interesting because some of them stop being homeless. Like they can actually afford the place, and some of them, they make a lot of money. But they keep doing that because it's like a job. And they're good at it. I mean, there is a correct way to beg and an incorrect way to beg. And some people know how to beg. Yeah. It is mostly about, like, knowing exactly where to be at what hours. Like, knowing when people go... like, for example, if you know when people get off of work. There are places which are very crowded, and it's not a good thing to beg because there's other beggars there. Like, for example, in front of a church. Like in my town, if you beg in front of the cathedral, there's a lot of people that go there, a lot of Christian people, and they may give money, but there's also a lot of beggars, so the competition is tough. Might not be a good place to go if you're new into the business. It is an interesting topic, nevertheless. I believe when I started my channel, I had a homeless person that managed to pull themselves up by their bootstraps. And it was actually a very interesting conversation. A good beggar can make 200 euros or more a day. Man, I don't think that. No, I don't think you can make 200 euros a day. If you can make 200 euros a day, you wouldn't be homeless. I think there are beggars that make 200 euros a day, but I don't think, like, that's the average. It would actually be interesting to know, like, what is the average, and I guess, I'm the wrong Xander, okay. I'm guessing that, it depends from city to city, right? Like, in some cities, like in Scat Francisco, maybe you can make 200 euros a day, but I guess the rent is a lot higher than whatever it is you're making. Anyway, begging can pay better than a normal job. Well, I guess you don't have to pay taxes, right? Like, that's an advantage. Is there a single beggar that pays taxes? Like, can you imagine? Like, you'd have to open a limited corporation or something. Like, hobos are us. And you have to pay taxes to the government. Beggar doesn't mean you're homeless. No, but, like, if you're homeless, let's be honest, you don't have a job. And if you don't have a job, you need to feed yourself. So chances are you're going to beg. Obviously, there are beggars that aren't homeless. But I do believe that they may be a minority out of the total population of beggars. On a busy street corner with thousands of people passing by each hour, you can add up pretty fast. Yeah, but if it's a busy street corner with thousands of people passing up, there's probably more than one beggar or there's police officers. So, don't think you're just smart. It's like, oh, well, here is a lot of people. I'm just going to sit here and beg. It doesn't really work that way. I worked in Bürgermeister, grave house in Frankfurt. There were a lot of homeless people. One told me he makes between 150 and 200 a day. And then he goes and gets those 2 bottles of expensive vodka. Man, like, how fucking expensive is that vodka that you make 200 euros a day and you're still homeless? Like, how expensive is that vodka? Like, with 200 euros a day in Burgmeister, you can get rent? How much is rent? It's like 1,000, right? 1,000 euros? That... Don't tell me it's more than 1,000. But yeah, like, with 200 euros a day, I mean, you can go to a motel. Like, that's a lot of fucking money. Like, you can... Holy shit. You should be able to pull yourself away from being homeless if you make 200 euros a day. You're not going to buy your own apartment, but you can at least rent a place. And then you can clean yourself up and you can apply for a job. Being homeless is a choice. You know what? I would have disagreed with that statement. I would have found it offensive. But then I told this story to my subscribers in a previous video. During COVID, at the peak of the pandemic, peak of the lockdowns, there was this individual which was riding a horse. And it was very bizarre to see, right? Like everyone was in their houses. And this guy was riding on a horse. So the cops stopped him, right? And wanted to give him a fine because he was breaking the quarantine, the holy quarantine. And he said that his wife is giving birth. And because he couldn't take a car due to the quarantine, he's taking his horse. So the police tie the horse. And they take him with the car to the hospital, right? And apparently this story impressed a lot of people in my country. They started donating to him because they found out that he was living with his wife in abject poverty. And they donate enough money to the point where he gets a new house. He's getting a new car. And there's this Romanian K1 fighter. The fear of the Carpathians, Mureșan. And he gives him a job. Like, oh, well, I'll hire you. I think it took like 2 months. And he sold his new house. He kept the car. But he was back in poverty. And I'm sorry to say, but like at this point, yeah, like you're absolutely right. Like some people want to be poor. Like there is no other fucking explanation. Like, you know, this idea that some people are born lucky and others aren't is true. But when luck comes to some people, they do not know how to take advantage of it. Like, you can't even say that he wasn't able to pay for the rent because he had the job, but he refused to show up. So if he refuses to show up to the job and he doesn't make the money that was given to him, well, obviously he lost his house and eventually had to move back into the same poverty that he left. What can I say? You know, it is what it is. So yeah, there may be people who want to be homeless as well. And not necessarily like want to be homeless, but they're constantly making the wrong decisions. Like if you make 200 euros a day through begging, you shouldn't be homeless. There's no other fucking explanation. Like, you just shouldn't. The ability to manage cash is not something that people are born with. It wasn't even the ability to manage cash. It was simply the, let me see who gave me a message. It wasn't even the ability to manage cash. It was, the lack of desire to go to work. You should go to work. Let's see, what did I get? The guy who thought he threw away a hard drive with hundreds of billions of dollars of Bitcoin finally found the hard drive, and it turns out he brought the wrong cryptocurrency. Oh, that's so sad. Anyway. It's let me show my face again. There was another guy, I guess, which also had the coin of Bit, and he was on. God, I forgot. Oh yeah, he had like this hard drive that was password protected. And apparently, like, if he got the password wrong 2 more times, the hard drive would delete. So, like, he was asking people on the internet if anyone can help him with that, and because he forgot his password. He also had, like, several $1 million on it. Meh. I guess it's interesting getting yourself in such situations. I actually met one of them. He was a literal genius. He wanted to be invisible, so he lives in the car and does day laboring to get food, fuel, and drinks. I guess if you're the type of person, like this is something that was discussed in an episode of Agretsuko. Really good TV show, you should watch it. And it's the idea, like, if you like to play video games, and that makes you happy, right? Like, that's literally your life. So the only thing that you want to do is to play video games, and you can eat and shit, right? So you don't want relationships, you don't want anything. Like, the only thing that makes you happy is a small room with video games. And in Agretsuko, it talked about the Japanese culture where there are people that use internet cafes as a cheap place to be able to live in, right? So you don't rent a place. you rent like this cubicle in an internet cafe where you can play games and you can sleep, and then the next day, you know, you go out and whatever. And the point was like, the character that did that actually had a really good point. It was like, why should I get a job? Because if I get a job, then I work 8 hours a day, right? I slave at a corporation, so I can go home and play video games. Or I can just come to the internet cafe and I can play video games and I can do the hustle that I have on the side, which takes a lot less than 8 hours, and I can still get what I want. It's difficult to argue with that. You know, you can't tell them, it's like, yeah, but when you're older, you're going to regret it. But they probably don't care. I like the cyber cafes. I like to live in one. Thank you for the 10 euros, Tomas. Hello. Yeah, apparently, like, that's a thing in Japan. Like, people sleeping in internet cafes. They even have mattresses in the ground for some people to be able to stay in there. And they have free shower and food. It's interesting. You know, I disagree with the communist mindset. It is sad, right? But, like, I disagree with the communist mindset that, like, having wealth is the desired goal for a lot of people. Like, that's literally not true. Like, not everyone wants to be wealthy. And if there's a person that's satisfied with less, who am I to tell them that they're wrong? Like, if they, because literally they're not hurting anyone, right? And why would I necessarily, I mean, their way of life is inconceivable for me, right? Like, I would never be able to live like that. But are they really like my friend? Do I really want to help them, or do I just want to moralize at them, right? Like, is it more like their way of life is offensive to me because, like, they have such a simple life and they're happy with it? Or maybe, like, I can't even empathize with that, and I'm thinking, like, well, if I was in their place, I wouldn't be happy, so therefore they must not be happy, right? It doesn't really make much sense. But, like, yeah, like, if someone, like, lives in an internet cafe and is really happy with their life, by all means, you know, I can tell them that, look, you know, you're happy now, but are you going to be happy 20 years from now? And the answer is probably no. But, I don't think you should force them to live differently. It is a valid point, right? Because I genuinely thought about that. It's like, why is that so upsetting? Like, why is it offensive if you find out that someone lives at an internet cafe, right? And you're immediately going, it's like, oh, well, no, you should get a job. But, like, if they just like video games, and if they were to get a job, when they come home, they play just video games, like, they wouldn't socialize anyway, then there's no reason to, for them to work, right? Like, they can just play video games and do what they like. They are called losers. Yeah, sure. I mean, I guess, you know, like, I'm not going to defend that lifestyle. But if that's what makes them happy, like, why should they be winners? And again, it's losers according to what exactly? Like some person that goes to work for 11 or 12 hours. This is another thing, right? You have people that work for 12 hours, 6 days a week, and they never get to enjoy the labor of their work. Like, in my opinion, those people can be losers as well. Like, you're working for what? Like, what is the purpose of your work, right? You're single, you don't have someone else, so you're working to make money, but you never get to spend the money because you're always at work. So why are you working? And what is the purpose? Right? Like, I understand being hardworking and working like 8 hours a day or 10 hours a day, right? But not every day. And then you have to enjoy the labor. You have to enjoy the money that you made. You can't just, you know, work nonstop forever and ever and ever. It's like, it's insane. So I think that's also a bad attitude to have. But again, you know, like if someone enjoys that, like let's say they do the job that they enjoy and they're happy doing it, go on and work yourself to death. You know, who am I to disagree? A solid week of hard work makes less than what I do with 30 minutes of the train. Well, you know, like there's a lot of luck involved. There's a lot of other issues, like why someone can make more money than other people. But I had like colleagues at medicine, right? And they wanted to be a neurosurgeon. And I'm like, why the fuck do you want to be a neurosurgeon? Because you make a lot of money. And I'm like, okay, so let's see. You work 6 days a week, right? Because you're probably going to be one of the few neurosurgeons available. So they're going to call you during the weekend. You know they're going to call you during the weekend. And then you gotta be on call, which means like you wake up at 6 a.m., you go to the hospital, and you're there until the next day at 4 p.m., and then you go home, you sleep, and at 6 a.m. the next day you have to be there again, right? Like, you become the hospital's bitch. Like, you're not even going to have time to take a shower or to fuck. Why do you want that lifestyle? Because I want to be a neurosurgeon. Fucking be a neurosurgeon then. You know, if you want to be a neurosurgeon, go be a neurosurgeon. But, like, I don't understand. You know, it's just something that I don't get. Because you, like, no, seriously, like, you make money. But, like, what's the purpose of money? You never get to spend it. You never get to enjoy it. You never get to have fun. You're always at the hospital. You get to poke people's brains out. Imagine how much damage you can do to people. There are other medical professions where you can do a lot of damage. Like, if that's your goal in life, you can become a urologist. You can become a gynecologist. Like, you can do damage to people, like, but never work more than 8 hours a day, 5 days a week for another person. Well, no, it's like, look, I understand when you have to crunch, right? So, like, let's say you're at Twitter, and the company is losing $4 million a day. And you have to work harder in order to keep the company afloat. And you put in the hours for like 2 or 3 months, you work harder because the wage is really good, and you realize, okay, I'm going to work really hard now so that later on I can still have a job. Sure, you know, but like, you that's not sustainable. But you can put the effort and work really hard for a couple of months. Fine, yeah, but like, to do it constantly? No. The only reason people do it is prestige is more valuable to them than quality of life. I mean, I guess. It is prestigious. Yeah, like if you're a neurosurgeon, like even other doctors look up to you. So, there is that. I get to work like a psycho for 10 years and then retire in Vietnam. Can you actually do that, though? Like, can you actually do it? Like how much money would you make in order to say, oh, I can go retire in Vietnam? Because there's always, like, the risk that you get to live for 150 fucking years and then your money runs out. Like, I'm always worried about that. You should always have, like, a stable source of revenue. Just have an apartment that you're renting, or be on some pension or welfare if you're old. But, like, don't just go like, okay, well, I managed to gather, like, all this money, and, yeah, hopefully it's not going to run out, because it's very fucking risky. You can live 1 year, and then you're half happy, right? Because, like, you still have money. But you can also live 100 years. That's what Canadian healthcare is for when you live 100 years. Yeah, I guess that makes sense, right? If you're in Canada, then things are different. They have really good healthcare there. A friend of mine retired in Thailand 10 years ago. He has not even dented his savings. Well, I don't know his financial situation. Maybe he's got like a lot of money. Who knows? Slaving for another person is not worth it. It depends, man. It depends. Like, if you're slaving for a person that's like a really good boss and he pays you really well, and you're slaving for a finite amount of time, then it is worth it. Like, if you're at a gaming company and that's your fucking dream job, right? Like, you want to be a developer. And the gaming company is like, oh shit, well, our publisher wants to push the game in 1 month. So you gotta work overtime in order to push the game. Fucking work overtime. Because, like, if you quit, then you're not going to get another job in the industry. So just work overtime for a month. That's fine. But a finite amount of time, right? Like, not like if they start crunching the numbers and they're like working you to death for 2 years in a fucking row, then no. Anyway, right, let's look at the article. That's the one I set up. It's something that Elon Musk tweeted out. See if I can find it. Yeah, it seems that a lot of footage from January 6th are coming out. The media is very upset. And I remember, you know, like during the whole thing, you weren't allowed to show pictures from January 6th. Like, you weren't allowed to show video footage from it. At all. Like, it was banned from YouTube. And now that Tucker Carlson has shown it, I kind of see why. It's because I guess it upsets AOC, huh? I saw the videos. Very traumatic. Horrible. It's one of the worst things that happened in the United States. Anyway. We can't protect users from trolling under Musk. So, I do agree. I mean, I've seen what happened to VTubers. But it's interesting, right? Because they don't consider that to be trolling. So, when you have terminally online freaks doing it, and by freaks I mean people that think it's okay and nice to harass women online, that's fine. You know, that's no problem. In fact, it probably never happens. You know, trolls are only right-wingers. Twitter insiders have told BBC that the company is no longer able to protect users from trolling. Oh my fucking god. And by the way, trolling, the definition of trolling is a person that says inflammatory stuff just to upset you. That's what trolling is. And for some reason, people need to be protected from that, right? Because people can't hold their shit when they navigate the online space. You need a multi-billion-dollar corporation to protect you from holding your shit. Exclusive academic data plus testimony from Twitter users back up their allegation. Apparently, there are misogynistic and abusing profiles. Yeah, I definitely agree. I mean, I saw what happened to the VTubers. Definitely misogynistic and abusive. Yes. Current and former employee of the company tell the barely British corporation Panorama that features intended to protect Twitter users from trolling and harassment are proving difficult to maintain amid what they describe as a chaotic work environment in which Mr. Musk is shadowed by bodyguards of all time. I love how they're describing this as if it's unusual. Almost every single wealthy person on the planet is shadowed by bodyguards. I think Zuckerberg calls his bodyguards the Spartans. I'm not kidding. But like every single, you know, like what, Jeff Bezos doesn't have bodyguards? Politicians have bodyguards. AOC has bodyguards. Like what is this whole thing? It's like, oh my god, he's shadowed by bodyguards. Yeah, and like he's Elon Musk. Like of course he's shadowed by bodyguards. The former head of content design says everyone on her team, which created safety measures such as nudge buttons, has been sacked. Good. I don't know why she hasn't done as well. She later resigned. Perfect. Internal research by Twitter suggests those safety measures reduced trolling by 60%. Okay. What exactly is trolling? So apparently concerned that child sexual exploitation is on the rise on Twitter. It was always there. Now, I don't know, like, she's just saying she's got concerns. But she doesn't prove that it is on the rise. Like, there was even a case, and this was before Elon Musk took Twitter. Was a horrifying case, actually. Apparently, this child, which was suffering from autism, had a sex tape with them when they were a minor. Like, they did the act, and the other party recorded, and now he was an adult, but the other party leaked the tape as a revenge porn thing. And it was on Twitter. It was him as a child, right? So, like, he wanted it to be taken down. And Twitter said that no, because it doesn't violate the terms of service. They had to call a lawyer in order to get it down. Targeted harassment campaign aimed at curbing freedom of expression. Well, isn't targeted harassment freedom of expression as well, unless it's illegal? Like, if it's illegal, it's illegal. But, like, I have seen targeted harassment on VTubers. Yes, it does exist. But what's interesting is that targeted harassment that actually matters, which is where you get a couple of individuals that are like, okay, let's get this person fired. Let's call their boss. That's not targeted. That's accountability culture. And that's perfectly fine on the old Twitter. Exclusive data showing how misogynistic online hate targeting me is on the rise. They're at 69%. Yeah, but are they targeting you because you're being a woman, or are they targeting you because you have been the head of Safe and Trusty and probably said some very controversial and offensive things to most sensible people on Twitter? This is so weird. It's like, oh, so I'm being targeted. That means that it's all on the fucking platform. I haven't noticed an increase or a decrease in harassment against me on Twitter since Elon Musk took over. I gotta say, I am being harassed. Almost every single online celebrity is, right? Like, if you get more than 10,000 viewers, it's next to impossible that you're not going to be harassed. But no one cares about me because I am the guy. If I was a woman, all of a sudden people would care. Maybe I need to get a sexy wolf VTuber costume, huh? Rape survivor have been targeted by accounts that have become more active since the takeover. This is something that I don't understand, by the way. And it's part of British culture. Like, if I were to serve in Vietnam, and I get PTSD, right? Like, I constantly see the bodies of my comrades being blown to bits. And I go to this social media website, and there's people that like to rub that into my face, like mock me and make fun of my experiences. Why would I use that platform? Like, if I'm legitimately traumatized by it, right? And like, people keep making fun of my experiences in the war. Why would I go on a platform that does that? Did you see that Sargon hired a non-Brit commentator? Why haven't he hired UV? He didn't hire me because I'm not in the UK. Like, he wants you to actually go to the office. If he was to hire people outside of the office, I do write articles for him. V, you know better. Freedom of speech and expression apply to the left libs, not the sensible. Yeah, pretty much. Abuse on Twitter is nothing new from me. I'm a reporter who shares my coverage of disinformation, conspiracies, and hate there. No, you're attacking other people, right? Like, you are demanding that other people should be censored. That's what you're doing. And other people are telling you to fuck off, and you consider that to be harassment. I am willing to bet that this is legitimately what's going on. You're trying to take away other people's rights, and other people are telling you to shut the fuck up. And you're like, oh my god, I'm getting harassed. It turns out I was right. A team of the International Center for Journalists and the University of Sheffield have been tracking hate I receive, and their data revealed the abuse targeted to me on Twitter. Since Musk took over. Yeah, okay. All of the social media sites have been under pressure to tackle online hate and harmful content. Yeah, the only people that haven't been under pressure is the people receiving it. You can't find the mute button, can you? It is so fucking difficult for you to find the block button. In the age where there are block lists available for people, you just can't do it. I mean, look, well, if you're like a child, yeah, I guess mommy needs to step in. You know, you're the child on the internet. Someone needs to hold your hand and drive you through the minefield, which is the online space. You actually need, billions of dollars spent on Trust and Safety Council in order to dictate what you can and can't say, because you're literally that incapable of finding the fucking block button. I don't know how people used to do it before social media. You know, on IRC, Where you literally had to like refresh your ban list every couple of months because like whenever the channel went down, your ban list would be removed. But for some fucking reason, people managed before you. But like, you're just incapable. You're just a journalist. You just don't know how to block and mute people. Or use the fucking report function. You're just literally that. Okay, fine. Well, if that's the case, I do feel bad that Elon Musk is here. You can also use another platform, right? Like, it's so horrible, right? Like, you're being, receiving all these mean tweets. You could use another. Oh, no, you don't. You just stay there. You turn it on and then you hurt yourself. You hurt yourself by going to the computer and experiencing the displeasures of the internet every single fucking day. My God. So difficult. For someone on the inside, it's like building where all the pieces are on fire. Well, yeah, but like, look, if all the pieces are on fire, and yet the journalists are still there, it means they really don't give a shit about it now, do they? They're not voting with their feet like they wanted to go on Mastodon. Where are they now? Are they on Mastodon? No, they're still on fucking Twitter. Oh my God, it's on fire. Oh my God, the building is burning. Oh, it's so horrible. And yet they're still there. They're still fucking there. Look, if there's a building on fire and I'm in it, I will try to leave it. I do not want to stay in a building that's on fire, now do I? Right? So it's the fact that they're still on Twitter means it's not that bad. When you look at it from the outside, the facade looks fine, but I can see that nothing is working. What do you mean like nothing is working? Twitter is working fine. A totally new person without the expertise is doing what used to be done by more than 20 people. Well, yeah, but that can also say that 19 people were hired in order to just waste money. Because that's what happens when a corporation gets bloated. It's like a government. You get like 19 people supervising that one person doing the job. You get to see that in construction sites. My fucking God, every single time I walk next to a construction site, I get to see this. There's like one person working and 4 other people standing around him and just looking at that person working. Do you guys notice that? Or is it just in my country? Like, you see like a person digging and there's like 8 persons around the ditch watching that person dig and making comments about how he should dig better. Every single fucking time, wherever I go where there's a construction site, without exception, this is happening. Same in Poland. It's every fucking where. Like, some people try to explain, oh yeah, they're doing rotations. Like, shut the fuck up. If they're doing rotations, you'd expect at least half of them to be working and the other half to be watching. But no, that's not the case. Does Mastodon allow certain things that Twitter does? Man, Mastodon is like... I would show it to you, but I would get my channel suspended from YouTube permanently if I showed you like some things that I found on Mastodon. The level of disarray, like these people are legitimately shocked. Look at this. No, seriously, I can't relate to this. I can't relate to this, like what I'm seeing here, right? Like this lady has taken a photo op, right? Like by going in a high place, standing in a close position like this, right? Because like her Twitter is receiving mean tweets. I'm receiving mean tweets. When do I get my photo op? Dude, like, can you guys know, seriously, like, can anyone relate to this? It's like, oh, it's so bad. It's so bad. Look at her. She's sad. She's receiving mean tweets. They don't know where the block button is. They're struggling. Maybe one day they will figure it out. She is concerned. Yeah, she's very concerned. I'm getting mean tweets, is what I'm saying. Everyone does. Jesus. Of course, you know what? Why don't you show a pic on me? Why don't you show a pic on me in a fucking picture? And then maybe I would care. Show Silver Veil. Yeah, show Silver Veil hugging Hogwarts. Next to her chair. She wanted to play it, but she wasn't allowed. Imagine like getting money for nothing. Jesus fucking Christ. Getting money because you're getting harassed on Twitter. Holy shit. You get mean things on the internet. By the way, is there anyone in this chat, anyone that doesn't get mean tweets on the internet? Just one person. Just one. I find it impossible. Every single time I log in, I get like some negativity. But I'm used to it. It's like part of the fucking job, you know? Like if you work at McDonald's, you're going to have rude customers. Every now and then some twat is going to come up to you and is going to say something disrespectful. But you know what? You have to put up with it because you're at McDonald's. You gotta smile. It's part of the corporate thing, right? Like you gotta show that Despite everything, you're happy and you're a cashier and it's the McDonald's way. And that's part of being at McDonald's, right? Why can't it be like part of being a journalist on Twitter? Someone says something bad, you block them. Move on. The cons of having unionization in the States is that we call them city workers. Oh, fucking hell. Don't have Twitter, but sure. It's not about Twitter, man. Like, you go in a video game, you go in Dota, you go in League of Legends, you go somewhere, right? Like, everywhere there's the internet and people interact with you. Especially if you have, like, controversial opinions, you're going to get backlash. Like, don't tell me that if I go on Twitter right now and I start having controversial opinions about, I don't know, gay marriage. Of course I'm going to get backlash. Or abortions, or anything that like, you don't get people 100% agreeing. I do the all-out thing and don't engage with it. That is one way of doing it. It is everywhere. I will even tell you why it is. It's because text on the screen dehumanizes the person, right? Like, first of all, talking to someone on the phone is already like one layer that is being separated because most of the human body language is nonverbal. So you don't see the person, you don't see their body language, you don't, actually look at them. So already, like, your brain just doesn't react like you're talking to a person. This is why a lot of people who have a crush find it a lot easier to talk to her over the phone than to talk to her face to face, right? Now, imagine that you don't even have the phone. You're just seeing letters on your screen. And they expect that you would behave to those letters on the screen the same way that people behave when they see each other face to face. Like, I'm sorry, that's just not how humans work. And then you also have the thing that most of these journalists want to take people's rights away. Like, they decide, okay, this is misinformation. If you talk about this, you should have your account banned. Of course, the people that are being told they should have their account banned are going to give a backlash. Like, it's natural. You're trying to take away something from them. And it's not just the people that are spreading the misinformation. It's the people who like to listen to the ones that are spreading the misinformation. Like, for example, they wanted to take down Joe Rogan, right? Well, like, if you're a Joe Rogan fan, they wanted to take something away from you. What do you get to take away from them? Huh? Like, why can't that be equality? They take something away from you, you take something away from them. They never want something taken away from them. Like, even recently, right? Like, CNN comes out, talks about the fact that they didn't want to talk about the lab leak theory because it was a Donald Trump talking point, right? And they considered that to be misinformation at the time. The same with the Hunter Biden laptop. They considered that to be misinformation. They fucked up. Who's held responsible? Where's the accountability? Oh, there isn't. So they want no accountability. They want to take stuff away from people. And then when there's backlash, they complain and cry about it. Like, I'm sorry, but like, you just don't understand the internet then, and you can't find the mute button, the block button, the report button. You have so many opportunities. It's not even the government. Like, these people aren't part of the government. This is the whining class. I don't know how else to say it. Like, they're experiencing something that everyone else experiences. And by the way, I'm not harassing anyone. And I don't think like my subscribers are, but like at the same time, I'm getting harassed, right? I know everyone else is getting harassed. So why are they like, when they're not getting anything over the top, right? Like if someone were to dox them, go to their house, okay, fine, I would understand that. But like, no, they're getting mean tweets. So it is what it is. The internet royalty. Yeah, that's the best way to put it. You cannot give rights, only take. I like that American way. I'm whining right now. It is true, but at least I'm whining because people are whining. So I get to whine. Ah, God. I saw the woke stuff spreading in 2013 and tried to warn people, but they said I was overreacting. Well, unfortunately, it is what it is. Tucker shows January 6th tape. Democrats elites. Oh no, narrative. Well, yeah, like the thing with the January 6th tapes is that when the whole thing happened, I found it very interesting, right? Like incredibly interesting, that social media banned any type of footage from January 6th, right? So you weren't allowed to show it on Facebook. It was like one of those bans that happened everywhere, right? So it happened on YouTube, it happened on Facebook. I think like even now, if you were to show it, you might get into trouble. And my question is, why? Why would that be the case? Because if it's really that bad, right? Because I haven't seen it, like I wasn't there. But if it's really that bad, wouldn't they want people to see it? Like, wouldn't they want people to know, like, look how horrible it was? No, instead it was like, you're not allowed to see it. Ah, naruhodo. And now that they're being shown, they're like, oh, well, no, there's like articles trying to debunk Tucker Carlson. Sure, whatever. Tucker is almost blackpilled. Jesus. There was another one. I think like the ADL. They wanted cops to have cameras, right? Like they're the ones that want like cops to, or the ACLU. I forgot which one. But like one of these organizations, they wanted cops to have cameras and record everything. And during the BLM protests, there were cops that were literally live streaming the protest. Twitch immediately said that no, we're not going to allow this. But the same ones, the ACLU, were like, no, you're not allowed to live stream. Because like people that appear on the live stream may not give their consent. And I'm thinking like, who fucking cares? You're on a public street. Like, you're not going into their houses. You're not going in a private space in order to require consent. You're on the public street and you are the ones that asked for the cops to have those fucking cameras to begin with. Muy interesante. Anyway, right. Let me know what you guys think. And I do need to go and work on my other 2 videos for lack of entertainment. So I will see you guys on that channel. Take care.